Rio de Janeiro. The heist was cinematically daring even. The South American borderland famed as a smuggler's haven. In the dead of night, the squad of outlaws set cars ablaze on the streets of Ciudad del Este, the Paraguayan city on the so-called triple frontier where Paraguay, Brazil and Argentina share a border. Amid the chaos, they sprayed gunfire on the entrance of a Spanish cash transporting company, using explosives to blast their way into the safe room. After the crew stole millions of dollars in cash and fatally shot a police officer at the scene on Monday, some of the assailants fled by boat across the vast reservoir of the Itaipu Dam to Brazil. Security forces on Brazilian soil engaged them in a gun battle, killing 3 of the suspects and arresting at least 8 others. "This is something war-torn countries endure," said Cornelio Melgarejo, the director of a shelter for street children adjacent to the plundered complex in Ciudad del Este. "Still," he added, "it's not every day you hear the blast of explosives in a place where children are sleeping." The caper, which Paraguayan and Brazilian investigators are only starting to dig into, is raising new fears of turmoil in a hinterland long known as a hub for smuggling guns and drugs. The Paraguayan authorities had been trying to reinvent Ciudad del Este as a low-cost outsourcing center. Brazilian manufacturers, drawing inspiration from Mexican border cities like Tijuana and Ciudad Juarez that lure American companies. But a spike in lawlessness now threatens those ambitions. Security experts say a harbinger of the rising violence came last year with the execution-style killing of Jorge Rafat Tumani, a fugitive Brazilian drug kingpin gunned down in his armored Hummer SUV in the Paraguayan border city of Pedro Juan Caballero. In that episode and this week's heist in Ciudad del Este, the Paraguayan authorities said they suspected a Brazilian prison gang, commonly referred to as the PCC, or Primeiro Comando da Capital in Portuguese, of carrying out the crimes. "Everything points to the PCC," Lorenzo Lescano, a top Paraguayan security official, told the newspaper AB Color. The specter of a resurgent PCC has been alarming authorities in Brazil, where a push by the organization into the territories of rival cocaine trafficking gangs in the Amazon River basin ignited massacres this year in several Brazilian penitentiaries, left more than 100 inmates dead. In São Paulo, Brazil's largest city, the PCC was accused in 2012 of hunting down and killing dozens of police officers, and in 2006, the organization carried out a harrowing 4-day uprising in São Paulo in which almost 200 people were killed. Still, some security specialists expressed caution about rushing to blame the PCC, contending that thorough investigations were needed in both Paraguay and Brazil to determine who orchestrated the robbery. It's easy to inflate the importance of the PCC into a regional or national security threat, which then bolsters the bureaucratic apparatus positions itself to respond to such a threat, said Renato Sergio de Lima, the director of the Brazilian Public Security Forum, a group that analyzes organized crime in the country. Officials on Tuesday scaled back some descriptions of the heist, while news reports in Paraguay and Brazil initially claimed that the thieves had stolen about $40 million. Liliana Denise Duarte, a Paraguayan prosecutor investigating the case, said that about $10 million was stolen. In a statement, Prosegur, the Spanish cash transporting company targeted in the robbery, said on Tuesday that no more than $8 million was stolen in Ciudad del Este. Contending unspecified moves by Prosker's employees allowed the company to endure more than 2 hours of assault and limit the actions of the assailants. Despite the arrests on the Brazilian side of the border, the stolen money had not been recovered on Tuesday, and some of the men suspected of taking part in the robbery remained at large. The heist in Ciudad del Este followed similar armed robberies of Prosker in 2015 and 2016 in the Brazilian cities of Campinas, Santos and Ribeirão Preto, in which the equivalent of millions of dollars was also reported stolen. Prosker transports cash in heavily armored trucks. Investigators in São Paulo state have linked the PCC to the earlier string of robberies, which involved similar tactics to the heist carried out in Paraguay. According to Brazilian news reports, the PCC has leaders that operate from inside and outside Brazilian prisons, often outsourcing large-scale crimes to skilled operatives, security experts said. Lincoln Gaquilla, a prosecutor in São Paulo who investigates organized crime networks, said the PCC was pushing into Paraguay in NFT to control coveted transshipment points, smuggling drugs into Brazil, but he emphasized that proof was still needed to tie the gang to the heist. Everything points to PCC involvement in the Paraguayan robbery, from the way it was planned to the explosives used, Mr. Gaquilla said. This is how the group raises the capital it needs for its operations.